Yeah, I liked the changes. I even liked the change in system and refreshing the fullbacks. I felt like we could have used someone like Marcelo in this game, as I mentioned, with Nacho kind of being a black hole. And then in terms of Hazard and Vinicius and just the whole change in the attacking dynamic, I think I saw it all over my timeline on Twitter. It's like everyone was kind of raving about even the even Hazard at like 50% in the limited time he played. He brought something to this team,
That's
and I
me.
think I
I
saw a
created that
stat.
narrative. It was my
Well,
agenda.
I think I saw a stat that in is I think it was from Opta or someone that in his 13 minutes on the field he created more opportunities than any Real Madrid player,
He
which
did,
is
but it's
crazy.
it's a very low bar, to be quite fair. I
Yeah,
think he had two key passes in this 14 minutes, and that was enough to be more productive than Rodrigo and Asensio. But he was
yeah,
good. He was good.
I mean, also Benzema had two key passes. Luka Modric had two key passes. Casemiro had two key
Yeah.
passes per who scored. So I don't know if it was more
Yeah,
than anyone else.
I was
but-
confused as to what Squawka's parameters were for that. Like, is our chances created different than key passes for them? I don't really know the answer to that.
Well, okay. Just a quick aside. Squawka is still doing that thing where they purposefully phrase their statistics in a way that is designed to garner interactions, right? So like and this is just completely
The
like
clickbait of
hypothetical, but
stats,
if
you
a
mean?
player only has yeah, I really don't. People have stopped complaining about it because it's been something they've been doing for like, I don't know, 8 years now or whatever. But if a player has, like, for example, they only attempt and complete one dribble, they won't say 1 out of 1 dribbles. They'll say 100% dribble success rate, right? Like that type of thing. And it's just something they do. So like, I would always be careful about like drawing, like just look at a full stat sheet. Look at the percentages, contextualize that with what you watch, and just be careful that, like, they're always doing it for interactions, right? Like we've complained about XG philosophy. Squawka is still kind of doing that sort of thing, but with other stats besides XG.
Wait, what's the
Yeah.
complaint with XG philosophy? I've never seen a complaint. They just put out the XG. What's
You
wrong?
haven't?
No.
You haven't? Like, there's been a huge debate and backlash against XG philosophy within the analytics community for the way they sensationalize single game expected goals, a feeling that they're giving people a wrong impression of how to use expected goals, criticism of the book for not being that good of an explainer, and just like taking like understat screenshots and just kind of putting it in. But the main thing being, right, like they'll do something where like it's like Ronaldo's XG 2.5, other teams XG 0.5, goals for Ronaldo 0, goals for the other team like 2 or something like that. And I think maybe the reaction has been a little overboard, but like this constant emphasis on like highlighting like single game figures like to get lots of interactions has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and they think it's like influencing a lot of people to understand expected goals incorrectly. And if you criticize XG philosophy for that, they'll block you instantly. So,
well, going back to Hazard, I mean, I do
Anyways.
I do think he, I mean, regardless, I do think he was an influential factor when he came on, and I do think that one play where he did a quick 1-2 with Benzema, completely ripped apart the Betis defense, drove through the middle of the pitch, and then I think he laid it off to Vinicius, who took a poor touch. And did you guys see Courtois' comments after the games? I was kind of surprised at how blunt he was.
No.
He basically said that Hazard should have taken a shot there. He shouldn't have passed to Vinicius, and he needs to be more selfish.
I don't know about that.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
have minded
I don't
seeing let
necessarily agree with that.
I don't know if I don't agree or disagree, but I wouldn't have hated it if you just let that fly, to be quite honest. I also don't think
Yeah.
it was a bad decision.
That's also who he is. Like, that's his game at this point. And so I don't necessarily disagree with your guys' view of Hazard's performance. I'm just sick of it. Like, it just feels like we're being tricked for like the 13th time. Like, come on, man. Like, he's done this so many fucking times, right? He'll come back from injury. He'll do like 2 really touches every time. We're like, oh, Hazard at like 35%. He looks so good. Imagine what he could do with this
Let's
team.
not lower
And
the
then
percentage every time we say it.
And
The
then he
50 is the
looks-
lowest we can go.
He goes on versus Manchester City. He looks like fucking shit. And then he gets injured again. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, we bought this guy to be like a top 5 player in the world, not to come on as a substitute, like do a nice flick, have a nice dribbling sequence and play a pass to Vinicius and be like, well, you know what? Maybe we should think about starting this guy versus Chelsea. I'm sick of it. When he comes...
No way should we be
No,
starting.
I don't think...
I tweeted it out and I was like, I think the fan base is going to convince themselves, and people already were like, well, he's better than Vinicius. He's proved more than Vinicius. Like, I'm tired of it, man. Like, when he actually comes back, he somehow magically finds his fitness and he consistently shows us something of the player that we thought we were going to get. I'll rave about it. Otherwise, I just feel like we're being tricked over and over again, and I'm not going to get excited about it. Like, his performance does nothing for me in terms of like my excitement and optimism levels. Like, I'll analyze his performance for what it was. It was a net positive, but I am not gassed about this at all. Like, let's see what happens. And I think at this point, last year and a half of his career is a lot more indicative of future returns than who he used to be as a player, because quite frankly, I don't believe he's that player anymore.
Well, for me, his role for the rest of the season, if he's going to be integrated into this team, is just to be a super sub at this point. Gradually, it's Vinicius' spot to lose, in my opinion, and Hazard has to gradually earn that trust back from us, from the fans, from Zidane, and prove that he can stay healthy, prove that this isn't just another one of those show-ups where he's, like you said, 50%, and then he plays against a big team, nothing happens, and then he's injured again. So, yeah, I think Zidane's been doing it, been going about it the right way, taking it slow, and I think he should continue to do that. Like, this cameo shouldn't change that.
Did you guys understand the Vinicius criticism? He fluffed that chance, but if we're talking about individual actions, that was the best of the game. Like, that gave us, I think by XG, that was the highest XG shot. Like, that was the best individual action of the game. Like,
Which
I know
one?
Hazard,
the one where he was on a things. Oh, the one that he got the Hazard pass.
The breakaway cut inside shot where
right.
he fluffed.
Yeah.
Right, so Hazard did some positive things, but people were just already a better influence than Vinicius. I don't know about that. Like, I don't think Vinicius was amazing, but I thought he came on. He did similar positive things with the ball at his feet, driving at players, and that shot cutting inside was, I think, created our best open play chance of the game, maybe our best chance of the game, period. And it was the most positive contribution of anyone throughout the entire game from a sheer potential goal difference impact perspective. Like, yeah, I mean, I get it. We're all frustrated. Like, Vinicius is on and off finishing, but I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It was really weird, the reaction when Hazard comes on, that it's like he's already offering so much more than Vinicius. Like, I don't know about that.
That Vinicius chance also came on the back of a good Asensio pass to lead him on the break. I think I noticed Vinicius' impact in this game. There's no question. He just makes things happen even if he doesn't score them. I always give him credit for that. And certainly, I think if Hazard had a good game, that doesn't mean that Vinicius didn't. I don't know. I don't think we have to necessarily go that road with the discussion. But I think with Hazard, there's no way in my mind, it crossed my mind that he should start against Chelsea. And certainly, I think if anyone's pushing that, well, that's just a different thing, and that's, anyone who pushes that usually, like, if you click on their profile, it probably says Hazard fanboy Belgium 6697 or something, and there are a lot of those out there. I think my read on Hazard was actually the bar I have for Hazard at this point is so low that I was impressed with this performance. Do you know what I mean? I actually didn't expect much from him in this game. The fact that he even just had 2 little key passes, he had some really nice touches, he looked confident, some nice flicks and stuff like that, good vertical passing. And again, in a very, very tiny sample size against Real Betis off the bench. That actually exceeded my expectations. So that's kind of where I am with Hazard. And I remember asking Lucas a question a few weeks ago. This was during this same injury run. And I said, at what point do you think Hazard's name doesn't matter anymore? That you don't just play him if he's healthy because you spent the money on him and his name is Eden Hazard. In my mind, that question's already been answered. I think we're already at that stage. I don't think... I agree with Om that he's not the same player he was. And if he is deep down, we're not going to find out until like a few months from now. If he actually puts in consistently good performances. I'm very doubtful he can reach that level again, just given the way he's aging, the way his body's getting battered, the way he's taking care of himself in his career. I just don't think it's likely that we'll see that player again. So I just want to make sure, like, I just think, like, we're at a stage now. I've realized this, especially in this past week or so. What we say gets really, really contextualized, and then a narrative comes out of it, and that we said something in this. And I feel like with the Hazard thing, even me saying that, all of a sudden there was this thing out there that, like, yeah, Hazard was amazing and stuff. Like, it's just that I really like Hazard when he's on his game. He absolutely raises our team's offensive ceiling like that. I really truly believe that, but I just don't know if that version of Hazard exists. And the stats aside, the eye test told me today that he actually made a really good positive impact off the bench for us in this game. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily like that. We also have to take in consideration the context of the game. You know, oftentimes it's the people who come off the bench that make a difference. You know, we've seen Hazard start games and then Vinicius come off the bench and make a bigger impact than Hazard. We've seen it vice versa. We've seen this with Rodrigo and Asensio. So the context of the game and the way it's unfolding also matters. So I just want to say that I don't think he should start against Chelsea. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to appear at some point. Whether he makes a difference or not, I'm not entirely sure. I would like to think the answer is yes. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with this.